What's good, ladies and gentlemen? I'm CK, and that's DJ, and welcome back to CK and DJ Reacts. So, today we are going to be reacting to how Def Jam and EA fumbled a game franchise. So, me personally, the Def Jam series was a fantastic series. I absolutely loved it. We're not even going to include that shit Def Jam Rap Star game. No, we are gonna be specifically talking about the three Def Jam fighting games: Vendetta, Fight for New York, and Icon. Um, Me personally, and I think with maybe a lot of people, Fight for New York was the best one in the series. Some people might say Vendetta was better, and I can't really think of how many people would say Icon was better than the first two. I mean, I think Icon had some good ideas, but I don't think it compares to Fight for New York. But before we get into the video, DJ, is there anything you want to say about the Def Jam franchise or what your favorite one was?
Fight for New York was my favorite one. Vendetta would be two. Def Jam Icon was okay, but I didn't like it that much. It missed the mark to me in terms of everything you loved about the Vendetta games. So I kind of not like I like to forget about that one as much as I can. I mean, the character models were good. Story route, eh. Everything else, it reminded me of the NBA 2K when they used to do when they started the creation storylines and shit like that. So no, I don't really jive with the Def Jam icon as much as maybe you do or any others do. It's okay, but it just ain't on a level with the first two to me.
Okay. All right, and you know what? That's fine, and that is your opinion. So I think what we'll do is we'll watch the full video, and then I guess we'll give the rest of our opinions after the video too. So let's just go on ahead and watch this video. It's 20 minutes, so this will probably maybe end up being maybe between 30 and 40 minutes. We'll see. Me and DJ kind of usually just get straight to our points, but we'll see. So let's go on ahead and watch this.
The history
Put the
of the
video real
Def
quick
Jam fighting games.
What's up?
before we start. Shout out to Clout Cancun, I think that's his name, for making the video. And CK will put the links down below to the original video in there as well. Let's go.
Series begins with Def Jam Vendetta in 2003, marking EA's return to wrestling games after the highly criticized WCW backstage assault in 2000. Developer Aki had originally been working with EA on WCW Mayhem 2 for the PlayStation 2, but when WCW went out of business and was bought by the WWF in 2001, this project was canceled, leaving EA searching for a new direction. Around that time, Kevin Liles, former president of Def Jam Records and an avid gamer, noticed that Def Jam's music was appearing more and more in video games. He questioned why Def Jam wasn't creating its own games instead of just licensing music. That idea led to a meeting with EA, and soon the concept of a hip hop based wrestling fighting game was born. The developers had just 8 months to put the game together. Through numerous brainstorming sessions, the mission became clear: build a gritty underground wrestling game starring real rappers. The roster included the likes of Method Man, Redman, Ludacris, Ghostface Killer, DMX, and many more. Each rapper added their creative input down from the clothing to their signature moves. Josh Holmes, the co-creator of Vendetta and Fight for New York, once told a story of Ghostface Killer's over-the-top request for his character. Ghostface requested that his iconic Gold Eagle bracelet needed to come alive during matches and attack opponents. The game engine that supported Vendetta could not handle this idea, but developers told him yes anyway, leading to disappointment later on when Ghostface found out that this feature was not included. In an interview, Josh also expressed the initial desire for the game to have a mature rating, but when it came out, it was rated T for teen. In story mode, players choose between 4 characters and fight through the underground scene with the goal of taking down D-Mob, the man in control of the circuit. Def Jam Vendetta released in April of 2002 for the PlayStation 2 and GameCube, quickly becoming a hit. Critics praised it. IGN gave it an 8.9, GameSpot an 8.4, and fans loved its feel, often comparing it to WWF No Mercy, which is widely considered to be one of the greatest wrestling games ever made. New millennium bound, yeah, 2001 hatch, come on, in the place, in the place. Thanks to the success of Def Jam Vendetta, a sequel was quickly developed. Def Jam Fight for New York released in September of 2004, just 17 months after Vendetta. It launched on the OG Xbox, PS2, GameCube, and later the PSP as The Takeover. This is the game many fans, including myself, refer to as the peak of the series. Fight for New York outperformed Vendetta critically, scoring 8.7 on both IGN and GameSpot. This game is beloved by fans, and you'd be lucky to find a copy for under $100 nowadays. Hell, the manual alone.
So I just kind of want to say, like, that's insane. Like, yes, it is.
What's that?
That's insane that you cannot find this for under $100. Like, that is insane at how popular this game, like that game was.
I mean, it ain't just this game. It's most games from back then. You know how much 50 Cent Bulletproof was when I paid for it?
How much?
Where's it?
Sorry for my camera discoloration too. It's a little weird.
And that was just for this, the disc. This game was like, I bought it on sale though. I found the cheap. I bought it. I think it was like 40 bucks maybe.
I think
Now it's almost up there toward the $100.
I think when 50 Cent Blood on the Sand became backwards compatible on Xbox, I think I paid over $100 for an Xbox, for the Xbox 360 version of it.
That's why.
So
Because it was a specific version.
So those old games are definitely classics. But 100, wow, that's insane. All right, let's get back to the video.
For around $40 on eBay. You can't make this stuff up. For the sequel, the developers wanted a combat system that was easy to pick up but deep enough for competitive play. They mixed fighting games, wrestling mechanics, and beat-em-ups while also proving that a fighting game could have a strong single-player story. Unlike Vendetta's wrestling focus, Fight for New York featured 5 fighting styles: street fighting, martial arts, kickboxing, wrestling, and submissions. The sequel added interactive crowds, environmental damage, KO moves, and the return of the over-the-top blazing attacks. The roster exploded with nearly 70 playable characters, while Vendetta had nearly 50. This time around, the roster included the likes of Busta Rhymes, Snoop Dogg, Ice-T, Exhibit, Fat Joe, Slick Rick, Flavor Flav, and many others. The story picks up after Vendetta, with D-Mob's empire being challenged by Crow, aka Snoop Dogg, sparking a turf war across New York's underground fight scene. Instead of choosing between 4 selected characters, you now have the ability to create a character. Creating and customizing your character is one of my favorite aspects of the game, whether I'm getting iced out by Jacob the Jeweler, popping tags at Syndicate Urban Streetwear, visiting Stingray for that fresh haircut, getting tatted up by Manny, or visiting Henry Rollins at the gym to upgrade my fighting skills and stats. Something I find really intriguing about the game is how much content was cut. Corrupt's name is found in the text in the alpha build of the game when selecting Slick Rick. This could possibly mean that Corrupt was originally considered for the game, but Slick Rick replaced him. It's also possible that Corrupt would have been a representative for D-Mob and would have defended the Chop Shop venue during the story mode. The Japanese rapper S-Word was slated to make his return for Def Jam Fight for New York. Images of him were found in the alpha build of the game. It's unknown if he was intended to be exclusively released on the Japanese version of the game, just like he was on Vendetta. LL Cool J was planned to make an appearance in the game as well. His character select placeholder image was found in the alpha build of the game. Many fans believe that the character Dan G resembles him. It should be noted that his song Mama Said Knock You Out is featured on the game's soundtrack. Why LL Cool J was cut is believed to be due to Flavor Flav switching over to D-Mob's crew. It's very possible that LL was originally planned to be a representative for D-Mob at the Terror Dome, but instead Flavor Flav was chosen and LL was removed. DMX was planned to make a return in Def Jam Fight for New York after being
Okay, wait a minute. I have a question then. Yeah. Dan G does look like LL Cool J, so I can see that. But
I think LL, if he was in the game, he probably had a motherfucking, he probably had the beater on, probably with the hat, the some probably some joggers or some Timbs or some shit like that, some New York shit. I mean, the Kango shit for sure. That could have been an alternate, but the fact that I already knew it, but the fact that LL wasn't in the game was crazy.
well,
He's he's one of the faces of Def Jam.
well,
Literally.
and I think it's kind of funny that if they did not put him in the game because Flavor Flav was added to D-Mob's team, I mean, I still feel like they could have put him in as a character that you would have had to unlock with the skill points that you get from just playing like the regular fights. You know what I mean? You know how like when you do regular fights, you get like 5 points every time you win your fight, and you use those to unlock the characters before you play the story mode. So I feel like they could have added him, but he would have just had to be one of those characters.
Nah. With all due respect, LL would have had to be vital to the story. I mean, he would have had to be a part of D-Mob's crew for real, because I just don't see LL being a bad guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like being on Snoop on Crow's team, like a part of his crew. Like, he'd have been a part of D-Mob crew.
Well, that also, but
Sure.
you know what? I am also kind of curious. Like, what the hell was Crow doing during the events of Def Jam Vendetta? That's what I'm really curious about. Like, what was he doing at that time in that universe during the events of the first game? You know what I mean?
Probably building up his fighters, building up his roster, building up his crew.
So
We already know he probably had Busta with him for sure. Crack was already with him for sure. He probably just filling out those other roster spots like exhibits, And DMX wasn't on. He wasn't on that game, which is a crime. But who else? Who else was on this crew at the time? I don't even remember. Was Sean Paul on this crew? I can't remember.
Yep,
I think
Sean Paul was with
Bubba Sparks.
Crow,
Can't
Bubba
remember.
Sparks, Elephant. Yeah, like a lot of those guys. But like again, I'm just really curious to know, like, because Snoop or Crow, he had all those clubs that we had to take from him. So I'm going to assume during the events of Vendetta, Crow had his fighters maybe taking over those clubs. But I definitely do think it was. I definitely do think it's interesting. Like, I wish they would have done maybe like a backstory of how like Crow got to where he was, leading to him and D Mob not liking each other and stuff. You know what I mean? I think it would have been a good idea, but oh well.
I mean, I just look at it as two alphas, really. Just two alphas, one in the top spot. Really, that's what you look at it as. And to me, I'll speak for me. That's what I look at it as.
No.
Really.
That makes sense.
Featured prominently in Vendetta. After appearing in Vendetta, DMX did not like that he was paid 2 cents per one game sold. Upon its release, the game was $50. Concept art was made for him, but since he did not return to the series, the character Tech filled his roster spot and has a resemblance to DMX. Tech also allegedly has DMX's stats and moveset. Also, his songs Where the Hood At and Who We Be were cut from the game as well. Last but not least, we have Khalees. She was planned to make an appearance in Def Jam Fight for New York. She was most likely going to be an option as a girlfriend during the story mode. Fight for New York has to be one of my favorite games of all time. I'd be lying if I say that I didn't still have nightmares of facing Crack, Crow, Magic, and Sean Paul during the story mode. Best believe I used to be raging like crazy, but I've considered going back and getting 100% of the achievements for the game with retro achievements, but we'll see about that. But sadly, this game turned out to be the height of the franchise because after its release, everything went downhill. After Fight for New York, fans had to wait 2 years for the takeover, which is the PSP port of the game. What many fans don't know is that 2006 also saw a mobile version of Fight for New York released only on Java phones. Reviews weren't great due to heavy mobile limitations. In October of 2006, EA announced Def Jam Icon for PS3 and the Xbox 360 with the release planned for March of 2007. Unlike the first two games, which were developed by EA Canada and Aki, Icon was made by EA Chicago with no involvement from Aki. Executive producer Kudo Sonoda pushed for a new direction aiming to reinvent fighting games through music-driven environmental interactions, now known as the DJ controls. It's reported that Kudo also felt the earlier games were quote-unquote just wrestling games with rappers, and he wanted Icon to feel more hip-hop. Some people enjoy Icon, but personally, I'm not a really big fan of it. I understand that some people actually like the game, but I'm just not one of them. I hated it when it first dropped, and I still do not like it now. Vendetta was great, Fight for New York was perfection, and Icon was just a major downgrade. Removed blazing moves, changed the combat system, slowed the gameplay, and featured a smaller roster. Ghostface Killah, Sticky Fingers, and Sean Paul returned to the series as playable characters. This means that Ghostface Killah, Redman, Ludacris, and Method Man are the only four to appear in all three fighting games in the trilogy. Kevin Liles, who came up with the idea for the series, finally appears as he plays the character of Curtis Carver, while Russell Simmons, the co-founder of Def Jam Records, portrays the character Rush. There are some unlockables in the game, with Fat Joe being one via a cheat code. Unfortunately, Fat Joe cannot be saved in the game data, and you need to input his cheat code each time the game resets in order to play as him. The story mode.
Okay, so this is so this is my thing with Def Jam Icon. First and foremost, why was Fat Joe so special? He was behind a cheat code wall. Why was he so special that he was behind a cheat code wall? The second thing with Def Jam Icon is I think Def Jam Icon, I really think the only thing it really had going for it was just it had bigger rapper names. In my personal opinion. And I say that because like you don't really have like the legendary rappers that you had in Vendetta and in Fight from New York. But when you think about it, I feel like at the time, like Ti, Jim Jones, E40, and all of them that are in the game, I feel like, you know, at the time, those were like the really big rappers at the time. Not saying that the rappers that were in Fight for New York and Vendetta weren't big rappers. I just think at the time Fight for New York or at the time of Icon, the rappers that are in there, those rappers were big at the time this game came out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to discredit the other rappers that were in Fight for New York or Vendetta. I just think at this time they really focused on like those rappers. You get what I'm saying?
Sure. But the rosters they had before were literally Def Jam icons, like literally. Not to say Bit Boy's definitely an icon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember who I was on. I think it was Ti, Game, Bit Boy. I think Jeezy was on there.
Yep, Jeezy was
Uh,
on there.
I remember Fat Joe being on there, like in the cheat code. You had to look it up on the internet to find that shit out. Was Luda in there? I don't think
Yep,
Luda was in there.
Luda was on there because he
Luda
because
was in there.
he was in the story mode.
Ghostface. I don't even remember Sean Paul being there, but apparently Sean Paul was in there.
I don't remember him
But
being in it, but we'd have to look up the roster. We'd have to look up the roster.
But I mean, Def Jam Icon, man, it was okay, but you stripped Def Jam of what made Def Jam Def Jam. Ain't nothing wrong with being basic. Ain't nothing wrong with being following a formula. Like some games, you see it nowadays. Now, like everyone's making either open world game or a battle royale game. Okay, like you don't have to be different. I mean, it's okay to be different, but sometimes being different can fuck over you in the long haul. We see this with the franchise of Def Jam, with Def Jam Icon. And I ain't throwing everything at Def Jam Icon. They just failed to see what made Def Jam Fight for New York a success. It catapulted on the steam that Vendetta got, and Fight for New York came out and made it a much more better platform, a much more better series. And you got to build on that. Like add the roster, keep the legendary characters. I see why Fat Joe was unlocked with a cheat code because he's one of the legendary characters from the second game. One of the most talked about characters from Fight for New York. Everybody who's played Fight for New York knows when you're in a story mode, couple things. Either it's Ice-T you got to go against, Crow, or fucking Crack. Those are like the top three people in Fight for New York that was like the hardest back in the day. And I know it varied from system. GameCube, I know Ice-T was fucking hard on GameCube, but Xbox, Crack was hard on Xbox, and Crow was hard on Xbox. So I can see why he was a unlockable via cheat code on Def Jam Icon. He's literally one of the legendary characters people talk about the most from Fight for New York, going against. So that, to answer your question, in my opinion, that's why I think he's behind the cheat code wall. But Def Jam Icon, man, it just failed to capitalize on what made Fight for New York and Vendetta great games, in my opinion. They stripped everything that we loved about those games and came out with this product, which wasn't that great. But yeah, I'll let you continue.
Yeah, and like I said, yeah, they stripped it of what made it fun. It's like you said, there's nothing wrong with being basic. I think if they would have well, if the guy wouldn't have taken it in a like, I can understand you wanted to make it about music, but you still could have kept what made it fun in there, and you could have also added like the music to it to make it, to still add that concept to it. You know what I mean? So we'll talk about it more at the end of this.
Focused on building and managing a record label, signing artists, and fighting rivals. You climb the ranks of the music industry, managing your own record label, signing artists, and fighting rivals who send their artists to intimidate you. When Def Jam Icon was released in March of 2007, reviews were far lower than the first two entries. While the game has a small fan base, most players consider it the moment the franchise declined. What many don't know is that a follow up to Icon was actually in development. It reportedly kept the Icon style gameplay but added a new combo system and improved song switching. Three modes, Throwdown, Obey, and UCM, were planned, though their purposes remain unknown. A beta build exists featuring two characters, including T.I., three stages, and two songs, and gameplay can still be found online. The reason the sequel never released likely comes down to EA Chicago closing its doors in November of 2007, only 8 months after Icon launched. After Def Jam Icon, the fighting series came to an end, but Def Jam did not stop releasing games immediately. In 2010, they tried something new with Def Jam Rap Star, a rap-themed karaoke game that received mixed reviews. After that, Def Jam never released another video game. Over the years, the label has teased the comeback, but as of 2025, no official announcement has ever been made. Fans would love to see the series return, but there are genuine concerns, starting with today's Def Jam roster. With all due respect, Def Jam just isn't the powerhouse it once was in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, but they still have legends. 2 Chainz, Big Sean, Public Enemy, Jadakiss, Jeezy, LL Cool J, Rihanna, Wale, Tiana Taylor, and others, but just not on the same level as the roster that powered the original games. However, what a lot of people fail to point out is that past Def Jam games did not only use Def Jam artists. The parent company of Def Jam is UMG. For those who don't know, the music industry is dominated by the big three, which is Sony, UMG, and Warner Music Group. They each have their own subsidiary labels. For instance, Snoop Dogg was never a Def Jam artist. During the time of Fight for New York, he was signed to Geffen Records, which is under UMG. Busta Rhymes, Fat Joe, and Mobb Deep were other artists that appeared in the series that also were not signed to Def Jam. Some of these particular artists were actually signed to other labels under Warner and Sony at the time. If we look at a label such as Republic Records, which is under UMG, you'll see they have artists such as Drake, Lil Wayne, Kid Cudi, The Weeknd, Metro Boomin, and Nicki Minaj. Then you also have IGA, comprised of Interscope Records, Geffen, and A&M Records. They have Eminem, DaBaby, Glorilla, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, and Playboy Cardi. Issue number 2 is that the rappers who appeared on the video game were not paid well. Earlier, I mentioned how DMX was paid 2 cents for every copy of Def Jam Vendetta, but he's not the only rapper who has spoken out. Joe Budden, who appears in Def Jam Vendetta and Fight for New York, claims that he was paid a one-time talent fee of $3,500 to appear in the game. Ice-T, who appeared in Fight for New York, has expressed his interest in having the game remastered for newer consoles. However, in 2024, he tweeted out about why the game has not been remastered, citing that they did not want to pay for his voice or the rights to his music again. This brings up another issue, which is licensing. During an interview for Fight for New York, Josh Holmes was questioned about the licensing process for the game. It differs a little because of the label ties, but in general, music licensing for hip hop is a totally different beast. You have all of the different writers, featured artists, sample clearances, etc. Honestly, it's a complete nightmare clearing a hip hop song as compared to other genres, especially if you want classics or contemporary hits. But the result of all that effort is worth the pain. If a game like Fight for New York was to be remastered, the licensing would be a huge issue. Licensed music, celebrity likenesses, and real world brands are things that would need to be dealt with. Lauren Wartzer Seawood, the former VP of marketing for Def Jam, who played a pivotal role in the first two games, is quoted as saying, "I'm sure a lot of rappers would rightly want much more money if the game was re released today. A sequel might be one of the most expensive games of all time. A number of different parties would have to come to the table and agree. Def Jam is now owned by a number of corporate entities. A lot of the game's characters have also left the label too, so negotiating for a new game or even a remaster would be tricky and complex." Another reason that I've heard about why this series died is because it did not sell well. As I mentioned, EA Chicago, the developer of Def Jam Icon, closed its doors months after the release of the game. This is because the studio was not meeting the company's profitability targets, which killed the possibility of a follow up. According to VG Charts, the PS2 version of Vendetta has sold 1.94 million copies total. The PS2 version of Fight for New York has sold 1.76 million copies total on its own. Def Jam Icon sold 780,000 copies total when you combine the Xbox and PS3 sales. As you can see, the series was on a sales decline. In an interview, Lauren Seawood said that Fight for New York cost around $15 million to make. Adjusted with inflation, this is around $26 million today. I tried to find the production cost for fighting games like Tekken 5, Mortal Kombat Deception, Here Comes the Pain, and Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2, which were other fighting games that were out during the prime of the Def Jam series. From what I've seen, it's safe to say that the budget for these games were not nearly as much as Vendetta or Fight for New York. They also sold more and were more profitable. Let me know down in the comments whether you'd like to see the Def Jam fighting series return. I think despite everything set up to this point, I do think the game can come back and be a success. But that's going to be about it for the video. I love you guys with all my heart. Peace.
Okay. So,
Hey, before we get into this, man, not to cut you off, but shout out to that brother. Very informative, did great research, stayed on point, everything, provided the notes and everything. Shout out to him. Shout out to dude for that video. It's a great video.
okay. So, going back to the last part where he said today with inflation, that would be, what did he say, about $26 million?
Yep.
If they remastered, what did he say? It was Fight for New York that was $15 million?
Yeah.
Do you okay? So if they were to remaster it and it was $26 million to remaster Fight for New York and everything, do you think EA would make that money back from sales?
Yeah. How many years have we been clamoring? Okay. Let me put it to you this way. When we talk about Def Jam, do we mention Icon?
No.
Okay, that should answer your question right there. When we talk about Def Jam, what do we mention when we talk about Def Jam?
Mainly Fight
The
for New
game.
York or Vendetta, but I
Okay.
would believe it's mostly Fight for New York.
Okay. What year was Fight for New York made? You remember, top of your head?
No, I do not remember the top of my head. I got so many other thoughts going on right now.
If I want to say, I remember. I think it had to be either 2004, 05, or 03, around that time frame, because my mama bought it for me on GameCube when Blade Trinity came out. I think Blade Trinity was so around the time in 04. So it's been about 21 years, give or take, since we had a Def Jam Fight for New York, or Def Jam game, right? That everybody hold to pristine,
Well, if you want,
right?
if you want to throw
As
in,
you should.
if you want to count Def Jam Rap Star, then maybe it's a little bit
We're
less
not. No, no,
appealing.
no, 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 no. I don't even know what I saw it on the Xbox 360 marketplace back in the day, but I didn't even know what the fuck that even was. So I ain't counting that shit at all. Anyway, we talking about strictly for the culture games, right? People been clamoring for Def Jam not Fight for New York, but Def Jam games since Fight for New York for 20 years, bro. So hell yeah, they gonna make profit back if done the right way. If bringing the same characters back, if you can, but it's gonna be a you know pulling a tooth there, because licensing is a big deal. Paying the rappers, the characters, is a big deal. I'm not sure most studios even want to do that, and we've seen that. We see that with NBA 2K. Everybody's heralded basketball franchise, right? They don't pay some of those legends. That's why you don't really see Reggie Miller in the game. You don't really see Charles Barkley in the game, because they even stated on interviews, if you can go find it, that 2K don't fail to pay them well for putting their likeness in the game. And that's fucked up when 2K make all this money off of everybody who buy this shit, whether buying it day launch, buying it on the super editions, the Carmelo edition, and then you got my basketball game that people play because there's no competition, because NBA Live took a hiatus back in NBA Live 18 or 19. So licensing and character usage is going to be a huge problem, because these studios don't want to pay the rappers. They paid fucking Demex 2 cents on the dollar. 2 cents, bro. Right? For his likeness in the video game. It's crazy. Now I can't put myself in the rapper's shoes or what they want in return for their likeness. Can't speak to that. Only the rappers can speak to that. But it's gonna be a lot of money put into a game if they ever were to make another game. And I can see why some studios wouldn't. They don't want to fork over that much money. Think of how much talent, how much roster size. Fight for New York had almost 70 wrestlers or 70 characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Def Jam Vendetta had almost 50. You don't have to probably triple that with the new game, at least close to 100, right? WB, I think WB 2K, they have up over to 180 characters.
I believe
I
that's
remember
what they said.
they used to market it back in the day a long time. I used to say that. So just imagine nowadays. I don't really care about the new age rappers. I only care about the classics. I don't give a fuck about none of the new age shit. So
Yeah.
like you put Lil Yachty in the game. You can put whoever's new out there, Lil Baby, Dirt, or whatever the case may be. That's fine. Cool. But I'm only strictly there for the classic characters, the ones we've grown up for watching, the ones who built the Def Jam Vendetta game. Demex, it's a crime. He should be in the next game. Point blank. So I mean, it's all about what these rappers want.
I think, well, yeah, and I think when it comes down to it, I think nowadays everybody knows their worth. Everybody knows their worth. So I do believe even if they did remaster Fight for New York, yeah, licensing, that's gonna be a bitch to deal with. Paying the rappers more, yeah, but at the end of the day, when you think about it, it's just like these, EA and all these studios, or at least the major studios, they make all this money from, these battle royale games, these skins, all this DLC content that they put out and stuff. So they have the money. It's just they just don't want to spend it. But I do feel like that if they remastered it the same way that it is, you don't change nothing, you just remaster it exactly how it is, I think they would get all that money back. I think they'd get all that money back. And if they want to have a regular edition, a special edition, whatever edition with a physical something, I think they would 100% get all of that money back. And because, like you said, people want another Def Jam game, so I definitely do think they would get that money back. I just think their biggest fear is that it wouldn't sell well for them to make that money back. But when you have people consistently saying, "Hey, we want to see another Def Jam game, or we want this game remastered," I think that kind of tells you like, oh, we definitely have enough people that want to see it. And my thing for Icon is this. Icon, it was built by a different studio, and I guess they went in a different direction. It was on a different platform, so I guess you could maybe say it was built maybe on a different engine. So I don't know. I don't know what the limitations and all that stuff were, but I think Icon, like you said, I think it would have performed better had they kept what made it fun, what made it legendary. I think if you would have kept the basics from Fight for New York, the controls and everything, the fighting style, throw that in with the DJ turntable, the using the music to your advantage as your weapon and all that stuff, I think it would have been fine. The story was okay. I don't think they would have really needed to change the story, but if I think they would have kept what made Fight for New York great and just implemented the music and the DJ turntable, I think it would have did better. But that's just me.
Man, Def Jam Icon, just something whole differently entirely. I mean, it's what Def Jam was essentially just a fun, turn your brain off, beat 'em up. Any other fighting game, over the top moves, like characters that showed fucking charisma. Most of the characters in Def Jam Icon had no fucking charisma. I'm sorry. They don't hold a tooth and nail to David Banner or Redman. I'll take your tongue out, wipe my ass. Like they don't have nothing compared to that. Nothing. I mean, Def Jam is just what made it great. It just turned it into senseless fun, bro. Senseless fun. Like I don't even think in Def Jam Icon you was able to do tag team matches. I think every match in there was just strictly one on.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
So what? So how do you think you're gonna make that game and think it's gonna be a success? You're stripping literally everything. Fatal 4-ways, triple threats, and wrestling terms as we know. 4-ways, 3-mans, tag teams. You probably can have mixed women versus man, and you can do so many fucking things in Def Jam. Period, bro. Like, dude, like steel cage match. Like they stripped everything away to make Def Jam right. You can't do that to have a successful game from what Fight for New York.
So let me ask you this then. Do you think if they would have came out with a second Def Jam Icon sequel, do you think that stuff possibly was gonna get added? I know he talked about the 3 modes that were supposed to be added, I think, to the second one if it would have came out, but do you maybe think they could have possibly added that stuff in? Or do you think no, it wouldn't have happened. It still would have been what we got in the first icon to the second icon with maybe I think he said better DJ controls, and I think he said something else too that they would have added with it.
Nah, I think that the nail was in it because it just didn't have no variety to the game. It literally had no variety. So I mean, if you want to bring out a sequel with the same exact shit with better DJ tune, like, what's that gonna do? What's going me as a consumer playing that fucking Def Jam Icon game? What's gonna make me go out and buy another one? My past experience with that game, when I can just go back and play the previous generation games.
Well, I mean,
Nothing.
what at the time? That was what PS3, Xbox 360. So when they were saying PS3 better graphics and all that stuff,
Yeah. I listen. When we first got it, I was like, okay, cool, yeah, Def Jam, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause I didn't read no about the game. I didn't see the game. My mama just happened like when she first bought us our 360. The first games I think we had was Dead Rising, SmackDown versus Raw, 2007. Then a couple months down the line, we ended up getting Hitman, Blood Money, and then we ended up getting Jam Icon. I didn't even know nothing about it. She just went and bought it. So I'm like, I'm just on Xbox 360, man. I'm about to play it. You know what I'm saying? Def Jam, right? So we get out there. I mean, it was cool. It was okay. I mean, the most things we really did in there was just test out the characters. The roll mechanic was kind of cool. Me and Batman just go around and just walking, just rolling. Like he'd roll. He'd be on the other side of the map. I'd be on this side. And we just rolling. And just try to have some fun with it. But
essentially,
it just wasn't there.
So essentially, with how Icon was made, it essentially wasn't made for three-way fights and four-way fights. It was essentially made just for single one-on-one fights. That's essentially what it was made for. Which, and again, I think Fight for New York, honestly, I think Fight for New York has the best customization and the best building up your leveling up your character in the different areas: speed, health, toughness, lower body, and upper body. You didn't have. I don't believe you had any of that in Def Jam Icon. Plus, with Def Jam Icon, the fighting styles were, everybody essentially kind of almost had the same fighting styles. I know some people had different fighting styles, but essentially everybody kind of just had the same fighting style. So it just, yeah. But
yeah, I mean, I can go all day about Def Jam Icon, bro. But I'd rather give praise and glory to this gem of a game and the first one. Than talk about fucking Def Jam. I think somebody stole my Def Jam Icon. I don't think it's over there.
And really, the only way you can really play Def Jam, Fight for New York, and all of the Def Jam games is minus Rap Star. We're not gonna count that shit. The only way you can really play them today is on an emulator. So it definitely.
Or if you got this, baby, what do you mean?
Well, if you still have your, if you still have your old consoles, then yeah, you can still play that. But
yeah.
But what I'm saying is we would like to see them on like our current gen consoles. That's all I'm saying.
Of course. Can you imagine the renders? I don't even give a fuck about the graphics, to be honest. Just put that motherfucker how it is now. Put it on the next gen consoles. So, I'm running through it. I don't give a fuck about the graphics, my guy.
Well, yeah.
Just
yeah.
The roster.
Well, and the thing is like,
look at that roster. Come on. Look at that. You see that roster right there? That's like a quarter of the roster. You see that down there at the bottom? Look out! I'm gonna put it up close to the screen. You see that? Method Man. You see him down there? Look at him. Red Man. Look at him. Look at that. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. Respect it. Respect it, okay?
Now
Classic,
you and I both know if EA did remaster it, they would find a way to get their they would add that
What, that microtransaction? Of course
microtransaction shit. They
that's
would
modern
find a
game.
way.
We already know that.
They would
We
find a
already
way
know
to
that.
throw that in there.
Yeah. Y'all here pre-order, get your LL Cool J edition for $100. Yeah.
But
You don't even need that. Just put the fucking game out. Put the characters in the game. You do. It don't sell.
like I
And
said,
if it's done right, you just don't sell. Trust me. And don't EA it. EA like you EA games and be lazy. Don't be lazy. If you ever decide to remake this game or make a new game, don't be lazy. Actually put the work in to do it. Okay? Because your sports games are fucking lazy. Same for you, 2K. Just saying.
They're gonna have
for about 10 years.
They're gonna have to add an online mode so people can fight each other. That's the only thing I think they would need to add is just an online mode. That's it.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, that's modern gaming now. People don't go over people's houses and play games no more anyway, for the most part.
Yeah, that is. And I think another generation would also play it too. So
yeah, it'd be a learning tool for them.
Well,
put enough of the rappers in there, the Drakes, the who we got out there that's new, the young boys and the Dirts and shit like that. I mean, I don't think they fit a Def Jam fighting game per se, but get that little audience there.
Now, you and I both know that those characters would be DLC. You damn well know EA would be like, okay, get your season pass to get, these rappers added on later on down the game when we decide to release the DLC once every 4, 5, 6 months. Get your year 1 season pass, get your year 2 season pass. So, but
that's not a bad practice for modern gaming.
But essentially, that's all that's really it's gonna be for this video. My closing thoughts are, we're ready for another Def Jam game. Just do it right. Just do it right. If not, just remaster. Licensing is gonna be a bitch, and we know it's gonna take time to get it all. But just, I think at the end of the day, whoever decides to do the licensing for the game, you guys are definitely gonna get your money back. I really do fear if 2K did it, they would find a way to fuck it up. So I hope 2K don't do it, but hopefully someone does do it here in the near future, because we definitely want another Def Jam game. DJ, anything you want to say?
Do your best to try to play Def Jam Vendetta and Def Jam Fight from New York. Whether you use illegal means, I'm not going to say how. However you find it, you must play it. Those two games are a must. Avoid Def Jam Icon. And don't even think about Def Jam Rapstar.
I don't really think you should avoid it. I definitely do think it's something.
Avoid it. No. Avoid it.
So
you're not going to get the same. No.
But
you're not going to get the same feeling.
But what
playing these? Playing that? No.
But what if you get? But hold on. But what if you get the people that do still want to experience it though?
Experience it for about an hour and then get rid of it. I'm trying to save y'all time, man. Listen, this is a must play. This is the second and last game in the series. As far as I'm concerned,
the second to last game in the series.
Def Jam Icon and Def Jam Rapstar. I've never even saw a video on it until we just watched it. Don't even bother with those. Trust me, you're gonna save yourself time. Don't even bother. Def Jam Fight from New York and Vendetta is gonna occupy your time.
What about the people that want to play as T.I. or Jim Jones or Lil Jon or Big Boy or E40?
I'm sure you can play them. You can find them like in Call of Duty, some Fortnite.
Okay, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Yeah, we'll talk to you guys later. Peace out. Before DJ goes on another rant.